The morning I saw her standing in my kitchen, wearing my old flannel shirt and nothing else, I forgot how to breathe. The same shirt she once used to steal from my closet when we were young and reckless, the same one she returned to me years ago, folded neatly, as if closing a chapter of our lives. And yet, there she was, barefoot on the cold tiles, the sunlight brushing her face, like life itself had decided to give me one more glimpse of everything I'd lost. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, forgiveness, and second chances, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe for more stories that touch the heart. Your support means the world. Her name was Elena, and once upon a time she had been the center of my world. We grew up in the same neighborhood, two kids who found comfort in each other's laughter when the world around us felt too loud. She was all things bright and chaotic, the kind of girl who chased sunsets and dragged me along just to feel alive. I was the quiet one, the boy who listened, fixed broken things, and silently loved her from a distance. But as we got older, our paths split like branches on the same tree. She went chasing dreams in the city, and I stayed behind, buried in responsibilities that weren't even mine to begin with. Years passed, and life carved its marks on both of us. My mother's illness forced me to give up college and take over my father's repair shop. The days bled into nights filled with grease, invoices, and silence. Every so often, I'd find one of Elena's old notes tucked inside a drawer or stuck between the pages of a book, tiny ghosts of a time when things were simpler. "Promise me," she had once written, "you'll keep looking for the light, even when it's hard to see." But I hadn't. I'd given up long before I realized it. Then one winter evening she came back. The town had changed little. Same cracked roads, same corner store, same scent of rain on rust. But when she walked through the repair shop door, holding a broken wristwatch, it was like time itself stopped to stare. Her hair was shorter, her eyes older, but the smile, that same half-crooked smile, could still unmake me. "I thought you might still fix things," she said softly. I didn't know if she meant the watch or us. We talked for a while that evening, about where she'd been, the cities she'd lived in, the people she'd met. There was a hint of exhaustion behind her voice, the kind that comes from chasing too many tomorrows and finding none that felt like home. She said she was back for a while, helping her aunt who'd fallen ill. She didn't say she was staying, and I didn't ask. Some silences are too fragile to break. Over the next few weeks, she became a quiet presence in my life again. She dropped by the shop with coffee, teasing me about how I still hadn't painted the signboard. Sometimes, she'd sit on the old workbench, humming while I fixed engines. I'd glance up, and she'd smile like she'd been waiting for me to look. It felt familiar, dangerously so, like the world was trying to remind me of something I'd once believed in. But every time I caught myself feeling something, I'd pull away, because I remembered the night she left years ago when I confessed that I loved her. And she smiled sadly and said, "You'll thank me one day." Except I never did. That night, the morning she wore my shirt, started like any other. The rain had been relentless for hours, flooding the streets, knocking down power lines. Elena had called, her voice trembling. Her aunt's house was leaking, the roof nearly caving in. Without thinking twice, I grabbed my truck keys and drove through the storm to get her. We spent hours patching the roof with tarps, our clothes soaked, our hands numb. By the time it was done, it was nearly dawn. She was shivering, exhausted. I handed her my jacket, but she refused, saying I needed it more. Then she looked at me with those same tired, unguarded eyes and whispered, "You always show up, don't you?" Back at my house, since her aunt's was unlivable for the night, I made her tea and found her an old towel. I offered my room, said I'd take the couch. She nodded quietly and disappeared behind the door. But somewhere between the rain's rhythm and the hum of old memories, I fell asleep on the couch, until I woke to the sound of footsteps in the kitchen. And there she was. My shirt hung loosely on her frame, brushing her thighs. Her hair was damp, falling messily over her shoulders. She looked fragile, almost unreal, like someone caught between leaving and staying. Her eyes met mine across the dimly lit room, and for a moment neither of us spoke. She smiled faintly. "It's still too big," she whispered. I couldn't move, couldn't speak. I just watched as she leaned against the counter, holding the mug of tea I'd made earlier. Steam curled around her face, and behind it, 1,000 memories I thought I'd buried. The silence between us wasn't awkward. It was heavy, filled with everything we hadn't said over the years. Regret, love, fear, All of it tangled in one unspoken truth: we had never truly stopped caring. She took a deep breath. "You once told me love was about staying," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I didn't believe you back then. I thought love was about running towards something bigger. But I was wrong, because all I ever did was run away." The way she said it, soft, trembling, cracked something open inside me. I wanted to tell her that I'd never stopped waiting, that every sunrise felt empty without her laughter echoing somewhere nearby. But I also knew that waiting had cost me pieces of myself I could never get back. So I just said, "You're here now. That's what matters." She nodded, her eyes glistening. "I don't deserve that kind of forgiveness." "Maybe not," I said, "but it's yours anyway." We sat there until morning light spilled across the room. She told me about her years in the city, the dreams that crumbled, the people who used her kindness, the loneliness that crept in between her smiles. She said she'd lost herself somewhere along the way, and coming home was her way of trying to find what was left. And I told her about my mother, about losing her 2 years ago, about how the house felt empty after, about how I'd learned to keep busy just to drown the silence. For a while, we were just two broken people holding each other's truth like it might save us. When she finally stood up to leave, I thought that would be it. Another goodbye to haunt me, but she paused at the door, turned back and said something I'll never forget. "I came back to fix what I broke," she whispered. "If you'll let me." I didn't answer right away. I just walked over, took her hand and said, "You don't fix what's broken by pretending it never cracked. You fix it by holding on, even when it's fragile." Her eyes softened, and in that moment I realized she wasn't the same girl who left. And I wasn't the same boy who waited, but maybe, just maybe, we were the right people for each other now. Days turned into weeks. She stayed with her aunt, but she came by often, helping me repaint the shop, cleaning out the corners I'd ignored for years. We laughed again, fought sometimes, but every moment felt real. Slowly, the ghosts between us began to fade. One evening, she showed up with that same flannel shirt in her hands. It was faded now, threads worn thin. "It still smells like home," she said with a small smile. I looked at her, really looked, and for the first time, I didn't see the girl I'd lost. I saw the woman who'd fought her way back, who'd learned, stumbled, and returned not to escape, but to stay. I took the shirt from her and said, "Then maybe it's time it stays here." She laughed softly and said, "Only if you promise not to let me run again." "I promise," I said, and I meant it. Months later, the town's spring festival filled the streets with laughter again. Elena helped organize it, her energy lighting up everything around her. As I watched her dance under the fairy lights, barefoot on the grass, I realized that love doesn't always come rushing back like thunder. Sometimes it returns quietly, in familiar footsteps, shared coffee, and the steady heartbeat of forgiveness. That night, she came home with me again. She pulled that same old shirt from the drawer and slipped it on. "It's still too big," she said, smiling at me from across the room, "but I like it that way." And for the first time, I didn't feel the weight of what we'd lost. I felt the peace of what we'd found again. Because sometimes love isn't about grand gestures or perfect timing. It's about two people who fell apart, found their way back, and decided that even if the world was broken, they could still be whole together. As I write this now, years later, that shirt still hangs by our door. It's a reminder of the night she came home, the morning she stood in my kitchen, and the moment I realized that second chances aren't given, they're earned. So if you're watching this, wherever you are, remember, love doesn't always arrive when you expect it. Sometimes it comes back wearing your old shirt, smiling through the rain, asking quietly for another chance. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, share it with someone who believes in second chances, and subscribe for more heartwarming stories like this. Your support keeps stories like these alive. And before you go, drop a comment below. Tell me, would you give someone who once broke your heart another chance? If they came back changed?